Hey, it's Jeremy with Hawaii Food and Travel, and this is also me. I graduated with a degree in diesel technology and work for a company in Fargo called General Equipment and Supplies. I did work in the field on various types of equipment, cranes and bulldozers, excavators, and pretty much anything with the diesel engine. So when I got the opportunity to move from the farmlands of North Dakota, Minnesota to Hawaii, my wife and I definitely jumped at that opportunity. So now I do service calls and inspections on cranes in Hawaii and the surrounding Pacific Islands. So I got a call from my boss that I had a short notice trip to the island of Midway, which I had never been to before. I got to hang out in the private jet lounge. They had all the food and drinks you could want, and there was really nobody there, so I got to just kind of hang out by myself. The one caveat of the trip was that it was short notice and only for a few days, so I had to fly private there, which is actually the only way to really fly to Midway. Being that I used to work on aircraft, actually, I'd never flown private before, so I was pretty excited to fly on a nice private jet, have the comfy amenities of flying the friendly skies. Shortly before we had to go out to the airplane, a few other researchers ended up showing up, so I talked with them for a brief period of time before we got on our flight, and some of them started to do some work, and everybody was pretty excited for our flight. There's about, I think, 4 other people on the flight with me. The flight was actually a little over 4 hours from Honolulu, so it was actually surprisingly long. Now, if Midway sounds familiar to you, but you're not exactly sure where it is or what it is, it was home to one of the largest naval battles in all of human history. Midway got its name because it's midway between San Francisco and Tokyo. But after all the naval warfare died down between World War II and Vietnam, Midway went back to being a sanctuary. And in 1996, President Clinton actually formally gave Midway to the Department of Interior. So now Midway is a refuge for wildlife, which is actually what brought me to Midway. Is I had a job for the Department of Fish and Wildlife Services. So we landed at night. All the flights coming in or leaving have to take off and land at night because of the amount of bird activity. So when we first came in, it was, pretty basic. You land, get off the plane, and we're greeted by a few workers. But there was a really cool hangar from World War II set up in front of us. So we load our stuff into side-by-sides, and they take us to our hotel slash the barracks. This is an old former barracks on the island that's been converted into basically a hotel. And it's ran and managed by a bunch of Thai nationals, and they kind of run the infrastructure of the island. So it did, it was basically like any other military-style hotel. Normal beds and normal showers and everything. It didn't seem too dissimilar from any other kind of deployments I've been on before. But now that it was daytime, I could get a full sense of the chaos that was around me. Coming in at night, you know the birds are there, but you don't really see them. So walking out in the morning, there's birds everywhere, and you kind of start to grasp that this is your new home for however long you're there. They had different recreational areas around, and it was kind of like a big camping trip. I got my own bike, and that was the only way around the island. Unfortunately, I also have a biking experience because you do need to be a little adept at riding a bike when you're navigating all the different birds. So they gave us like a real quick briefing when we got there. Just make sure you don't hit the birds. They basically will stay put when you ride. For the most part, there were some that would walk from side to side, and you just kind of have to navigate them. So, like on the video, it looks like they're pretty far away, but they're actually kind of close and right up on you most of the time. The smell wasn't too bad. I guess you get used to it after a certain period of time, but it didn't really seem too bad for me. And this was actually a fledgling season, which meant that all these young birds were getting ready to leave the island. So the population of the birds on the island was at its peak at this point. It's such a surreal feeling to kind of be in the middle of the ocean, in the middle of nowhere, on an island with very few people, surrounded by a ton of birds. But it very quickly it sank in that it was like, a camping trip where you're going back to nature. No internet. I mean, there was some internet, but not too many buildings had it. And then you just do whatever you can do to make do on the island and be productive for the community. And they did greet us when we first arrived at the hotel at night and kind of gave us our instructions for the morning. So we had to go and meet at the visitor center to get our briefing before we were allowed to really do much else. All the Fish and Wildlife Service people that I met were very friendly. The gentleman that actually was running the island was temporary. But he gave a pretty stern intro speech, let us know the rules, and that it was basically his rules or you would get sent home immediately. And I agree, you're somewhere else that's not your home, and you need to respect the land and respect the wildlife. So after the briefing, I was able to kind of cruise around a little bit inside. They had a lot of memorabilia from the years, and you kind of get a grasp of the amount of history that the island had, because it wasn't just military and it wasn't just the original people that found the island, but there's been so many things in between. After meeting everybody I needed to meet, I was shown to the crane, which was kept in a hangar. I can't speak exactly to why I was there, but effectively I was doing an inspection for them. They purchased a crane, and there were some issues when the crane arrived on the barge. So after I finished all my work for the day, I was shown over to the chow hall area for dinner. It's a place where all the island inhabitants, workers, I guess, everybody meets there for food because it's at the same time every day. So it was a standard buffet style, again, similar to any type of military chow hall, but the food was really good. The Thai chefs were really good. There's a nice gazebo overlooking the ocean, and it's very, very peaceful and calm. Everybody that I talked to was encouraging me to explore, and I'm not the type to shy away from going off on my own and cruising around, so I decided to jump on my bike and kind of just cruise around by myself, figure out the island, check out the history, and see everything that they had to offer. And because my trip was so short, I wanted to explore as much as I could. So I took the opportunity. I went over to the main beach for recreation purposes. They did tell us in the briefing that we weren't allowed to really swim. At least you got to use the buddy system. Because it was fledgling season and a lot of the baby albatross end up flying in the water, there's a huge population of tiger sharks that surround the island during that time of year. So even though I love to swim and an avid swimmer, I decided to keep exploring. I went over to the supply dock area. They had some more equipment there, and a lot of other equipment that kind of goes to die is laying there like a graveyard. The barges come in here every couple months, I believe, and then occasionally when military vessels will come in, they will dock there too. I had heard there was a bowling alley and a gym, so I went over, checked out the gym. It was kind of eerie and creepy because it was pretty dark. The floors were kind of matte and torn up, and there's a lot of relics of the past there, so you kind of feel like you're standing among ghosts. And same thing, you go into the bowling alley, and if you don't coordinate with your friends or coworkers, then you're basically at the bowling alley by yourself. They also had a convenience store that had food and drinks and snacks and memorabilia, t-shirts, alcohol. But the alcohol actually wasn't too expensive compared to some of the other remote locations I've traveled to. And then I ended up meeting up with the group. Probably most of the people on the island met up to ride across the island and go to the pillbox area so we could watch the sunset. It was actually a unique sunset, or at least I was told it was, because it was summer solstice. So there's a flash of green light, I guess you can see, which I didn't see, but can't remember the name of the specific pillbox. But I guess the guy who manned that first pillbox was 17 at the time. And it got named for him. So after sunset, it was kind of a mad dash to get back to the barracks or the hotel before it got too dark. Because once it's pitch black, if you don't have any light, you basically can't see anything. So you're not only riding in the dark, but you're trying to avoid hitting birds in the dark. For my second day, I had to go look at another piece of equipment and do an inspection for them. Nothing really out of the ordinary for that, and surprisingly, the crane was in really good condition for being so isolated. And then the remainder of my time there, I got to just kind of explore a little bit more. I was told that everybody was meeting up later that evening at the bar for kind of like a going away party. It was really only me and one other person leaving, but then again, 2 out of 40 is a pretty big percentage of the population. So I grabbed a 6-pack from the store and met everybody at the gazebo. And the bar area was kind of fully stocked. It's more of like a BYOB, but people just bring whatever they have and leave it there. So you just take and leave whatever you have. Even though it was a very short trip, because you're so isolated and the group is so small, you develop bonds pretty quickly. So everybody was sad to see me leave, and I had to get on my airplane at night to then fly home.